Hello everyone, welcome, my name is Phoenix and this is the Consumer's Guide to Video Games. Cyberpunk 2077, 2020, CD Projekt Red. Cyberpunk 2077 is a first-person action role-playing game. In this game, the player takes control of a mercenary named V. After botching a heist on the Arasaka Corporation, a valuable computer chip is stashed by V in their head. This computer chip contains the consciousness of terrorist and rock star Johnny Silverhand. After V dies, V is brought back to life by Silverhand, but is slowly dying again because of it. It is now up to you, as V, to hunt down a method of getting the chip out of your head once and for all. So, why am I talking about this game again? There's a full review of when I initially played it on the channel, and I stand by what I said about the game when I reviewed it then. But in the 3 years since I last played the game, CD Projekt Red kinda completely overhauled it. Not only that, they released a massive bit of DLC that adds a new side story with a new ending or two to the game. In this review, I think I am more or less going to be pondering the question of what CD Projekt Red did with these massive updates, and how and if they affect the quality of the game. Starting with the gameplay, CD Projekt Red tinkered with not only the RPG mechanics of the game, but with the open world as well. Your skill trees have been reduced in number, and with certain paths requiring you to upgrade certain skill sets, the game offers many ways to complete tasks. In that regard, the game is more or less the same, if not a little more robust. Sure, all problems can be solved with the proper application of bullets, but a revamped upgrade system makes exploring stealth options for missions a fun time. Moving on to the latter, the open world of Night City remains the same more or less. Apparently cops are a little more aggressive this time around, which I don't remember from when I played the game the first time. Didn't really affect me much. Another new mechanic involves a cute little side thing with your romance character where you can hang out and talk and whatnot. Also, you can shower with them and see their boobies. Cool. One thing I really took stock of this time around though with the game is just how fucking massive it is. There are so many side quests and side activities to do in Night City, and with the Phantom Liberty DLC it only gets bigger. Is a chunk of this stuff fluffier than Gabriel Iglesias? Maybe. But there is a solid chance you will get lost in doing the various gigs and collecting your eddies to upgrade yourself. Not only is there lots to do, but there's tons of ways to do it. As I alluded to earlier, missions often have multiple ways of approaching them, with the level design incorporating all of your skills. Unless the story requires you to do it one way, you can do most any other mission in any way you choose. There are multiple outcomes for V in this story, and how you interact with the world and its denizens will greatly affect what you can do at the end. We'll talk about the endings a little bit later, but that's the gist of it mechanically. But even with the overhaul, the one thing that still exists in this game is a copious amount of jank. I encountered missions in this game that do not mechanically work the way they should. One side mission I did literally stole my inventory. Like, just bugged the fuck out and stole it. And it forced me to load a previous save to get it back. In-game animations can be really stiff and buggy with character models clipping around the environment or phasing through objects if they're not outright spazzing out. Sure, I've forgiven games for being rough around the edges, but if you knew the absolute fucking mud hut state that this game was released in, and 3 years later for it to still be a jank fest, it's a tad sketch. Like, yeah, it's not as bad as it once was. Like, trust me, it was fucking bad. But come on here, guys. We could have ironed out most of the kinks by now. If there's one thing I haven't changed my mind on, it's that, aesthetically speaking, the game is still gorgeous. Playing the PS5 version this time around, and pushing my PS5 graphically with the settings, it's hard to ignore just how beautiful this game can be. Notwithstanding all the jank, if we look at the environments and the character models based purely on detail and art design, CD Projekt Red really outdid themselves with this game. Night City is a sight to behold, and the sleekness and realism in the people you interact with is quite impressive. All these characters have such unique vibes to them, whether they be just your average dude or these chroned out monstrosities like the Atom Smasher. Pre-rendered animations really allow these character models to shine and show just how beautiful this game can be. Musically, the score is still pretty good, not much has changed. The throbbing electronica score that pulsates throughout the game is perfect for this setting. Action scenes are bass drop riddled and anxiety inducing, and quieter scenes revel in synth-laden atmospherics. If there is no music, then you get to take in the urban sprawl and noise pollution of Night City. The one aspect I didn't care for this time around were the radio stations. Sure, all these radio stations fit the setting. Most of it is synthwave, techno, industrial rock sort of shit, with a metal station and a blues and jazz station to fill things out. I also think there's a classical one. I don't remember though. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anyways, in going through each station, only one or two of them are kinda worth my time, supposing I even want to listen to the stations. I just went through the game not using them 95% of the time. I did encounter Silverhand's fictional band Samurai in one of the stations, and that song or two I heard were fine. It's heavier than what I expected, but not really neat or anything. The writing remains the same quality, like nothing's changed, or at least my opinion of it hasn't. I still love the world of Cyberpunk, and I dig the anti-corporatist themes of the script. This time, though, I got to experience another ending, and I romanced a character. This playthrough I romanced Panam Palmer, a nomad living in the desert with war veterans. Her and V's interactions as a couple were very cute. In the ending where you call on Panam to help you break into Arasaka Tower, you lose some people and you end up getting split from Johnny, only to be given a death sentence. With 6 months or so to live, V decides to live out in the desert with their girlfriend in peace. It's a cute ending, very bittersweet. Good stuff. I would be very remiss though if I didn't talk about Phantom Liberty again, especially in this context. This is a massive DLC, which introduces a new area of Night City known as Dogtown. Here, V gets entangled with the American government and is roped along by a hacker named Songbird into protecting the president and taking out a merc leader. What you do in Phantom Liberty will give you 1 or 2 new endings, I believe, as I alluded to earlier, with one of them being the government cutting you open and getting rid of Johnny. I didn't do this ending, but the 3-letter agency was glowing hard throughout the story, so I doubt it ended well for V. Overall, I thought it was a neat expansion on the world and introduced some neat characters. Like with the writing, my thoughts on the acting haven't really changed. I played as a dude V this time around, and the male version of V is played by Gavin Dre. I heard some comparisons to male Commander Shepard in regards to this performance, but it is not that wooden, I would say. It's a perfectly fine performance, and he hits the emotional beats in a passable manner. Nothing spectacular though. With the Phantom Liberty expansion, we are given a new, heavy-hitting cast member in the great Idris Elba. Playing government agent Solomon Reed, he definitely shows off why he has become such a popular name. Incredibly charming and effective at conveying those big emotions. Besides that, everyone does the same job I remember them doing. Keanu... You're breathtaking! Reeves is still being Keanu. I thought Emily Wu Zeller was cute as Panam Palmer. She had a nice little chemistry with each of the V's from what I remember. Yeah, fine cast. So, what exactly is the verdict here? Well, for me, in replaying Cyberpunk 2077 and experiencing this overhaul and DLC, it just begs many questions. Why wasn't this done at the front? Further to this is something that I think I talked about when I initially reviewed it, but it bears pondering still, is how this happened at all. Why did a company, with what was essentially a blank check due to the massive success of the Witcher franchise, cave to consumer pressure and release a game that was barely functional? Why didn't this company wait a year, keep this game in the oven, incorporate all the stuff from these updates, and release it as a tentpole for the PS5 generation? Why? I think I answered the question though, and that's consumer pressure. This game was a fucking hype beast. Everyone and their fucking nan was excited for this game. Years of development, and with a pandemic starting and companies shutting down, any further delays, no matter how warranted they may have been, would have probably greatly diminished the dimes they could have drawn with this game. People would just not care anymore if they had to wait another year for this game. So, CD Projekt Red released it when they did. And they just shat the bed. Like, Cyberpunk 2077, when it was released, and even the few months after release when I played it, was a fucking nightmare. It was unacceptable for a game to be released in that state, let alone one that had been clamored for like this game had been. Cyberpunk 2077 now? It's fine. It's still quite janky, but is eminently more playable and amusing than in previous years. I appreciate that CD Projekt Red cared enough to even try and fix their mess. However, this mess shouldn't have existed to begin with. Again, this should have been the game at the front, with the updates ironing out the jank and giving you some more odds and ends to do. But that is not what happened here. In conclusion, would I play this game again? Maybe, if only to see the other endings. It's entertaining, and I didn't hate it. But eternal shame on CD Projekt Red for this entire fiasco. Fucking shame on them. And I am feeling a 6 out of 10 on this one. I can't morally give it any higher than a 6. I'm sorry. Catch you later, guys.